How's it going, guys? John the Basic Expert here, and in this week's video I wanted to do a review of Modern Necessities by the Scrying Dutchman, my buddy Victor Gorchev. If you watch Natural Ones, you are familiar with Vic. He's usually here every Wednesday afternoon to sit and talk about role-playing games, and his specialty is modern stuff. So last week I think it was, or a few weeks ago, I think it was a few weeks ago, I lose track of time, and I record these ahead of time before they release to you all. So as of recording this right now, it was like last week or 2 weeks ago. For you, it's probably longer. I reviewed Everyday Heroes, which is a 5e thing. And side note, I had mentioned his other book, which we'll talk about that in a second here. I'm not going to do a review of this, but if you want 5e, kind of more high fantasy, he has this here as well, which is 5e compatible, 2014 5e, not 2024. Where, it's all modern stuff useful for a sort of modern fantasy game. You can see the aesthetic that he's going for in this is different than what Everyday Heroes is doing. He's doing like a more what if it's like a Greyhawk, 4,000, 5,000 years into the future, and they've discovered technology and stuff, but the mystical fantasy stuff is still around, but there's also elves and dwarves and tieflings and all that kind of stuff in 5e. So this video is not about this, but I just want you guys to know that if you're based on the modern Everyday Heroes video, this exists, so you can check this out. We're talking about Modern Necessities, and so this again is old school essentials. It's based on BX. Vic has done a lot of work here on this. So he kickstarted this successfully, and he does a lot of the layout himself. He gets a lot of help from a friend here. Noland, his artist that he uses, he's this guy. As an artist myself, I have to give Noland credit because his art is just so evocative. He gets these, he has, first of all, a very like cool comic booky OSR style, but he gets these like deep, like big chunks of black. He knows how to use like big areas of black to inform an image, and that's something like I'm more of a line art guy. I don't really like using a whole lot of black. I just end up messing it up. But Noland is like really good at it, as you can see. And he did this cover and a few interior pieces as well, and they're just like, they're really good. I think he's a better artist than me, I'll say. He did like this one here, like that's just so cool. This is the kind of thing that you can expect in this, which is I think different again from like Everyday Heroes. And this is the kind of stuff that Vic is interested in, sort of modern urban fantasy stuff. Again, Don Gobleon. If we look at I did this image here. If we look at the table of contents here, you can see that this isn't like a full, what Vic did here isn't like a full like restatement of OSE rules. Like you can still use, if you're a fan of this and you have this, you still need this to play it, or the SRD online, which is free. But everything in this book is compatible with what's in here. So get that out of the way. So I think that's great. It's not like a full sort of restatement, conversion or anything like that. He changes the rules that need to be changed, adds the things he needs to add to make it work for modern, and you still can use your original OSE books to play all that. So we got lots of classes. I think he says on the back here. Let's kind of go over it. 20 modern themed classes and fantasy races, 60 plus modern weapons, numerous firearm attachments and ammunition types and firearm assorted equipment like flashlights, things like that. Drones, he has aerial drones in here. Specific name magic weapons, armor, and equipment. So modern equipment, but it's designed for, it has that magical effect. Again, he's going for that sort of Shadowrun, urban fantasy sort of our time right now, but what if elves and dwarves and halflings and all these creatures lived among us? It wasn't just humans. 48 Technomancy spells, 20 psionic powers, multiple modern themed enemies, rules for hiring modern themed mercenaries, optional rules such as weapon jamming, weapon conditions and armor damage, sample plot hooks, providing quick and simple ideas for one-shots or even entire campaigns. And I know, for instance, I think he's working on his sort of take on Keep on the Borderlands, but he's doing a Bunker in the Borderlands, his sort of modern expression of that. And Assault on Blackfang Tower, a short intro adventure set in a world hit by a magical apocalypse. So I think that his magical apocalypse sort of modern, like parts of the world are just sort of ravaged by some sort of magical apocalypse. Some parts are fine. He can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but from my understanding, that's where his Bunker in the Badlands sort of take is going to be. So let's look through this. We'll just kind of skip through this and we'll see what comes out. Like I love OSE, and I know like some people have their like rules light games that they sort of default to, and for some people it's Shadow Dark. For me, it's Old School Essentials or BX. You know, that's where I get my name from, the Basic Expert. I love BX. I just think it's such a light but still very complete rule set for fantasy gaming. It's near perfect in a lot of respects. I love 0E too, but the way I play 0E is I incorporate a lot of chainmail, obviously, so it gets a little proto AD&D when I do that. So for me, I like BX because it's sort of like that good in between of like a light game, but it's still complete. And OSE is a very, very complete game. So yeah, you got rules for grappling, things to consider like gunshot loudness, jamming, cover, backgrounds, ability score modifiers. So when we get to classes, he has lots of classes. So we have the Crook, who prime requisite dex, minimum dex 9. He has maximum levels. All like these are all just, every single class is just OSE compatible. Detective. We got Exorcist, which is cool. I like this art here of this like what kind of exorcism is he gonna do? The Face, so you know you're a wheeling and dealing sort of guy. Heavy Gunner. So using big old machine guns. The Hired Killer, so like Hitman, martial artists, medics. One thing I like is there's not like a straight up one for one sort of like this is the cleric reskinned, this is the fighter reskinned, this is the magic user reskinned. He does a lot of his own takes on a lot of that, and I appreciate that because it makes an expansion to OSE. We got a ninja, which is pretty cool. I love that. The Psychonaut, Sapper, Scout. There's some art I did. Secret Agent, which is always fun. That's cool. Sniper, Soldier, Survivalist. I've always loved this piece of art. He used this one in his 5e one, and I just always love it because it's totally 100% Tremors. You know, I forget his name. I've lost having a brain fart here, but it just makes me think of Tremors. It's perfect. Bert, I think is his name. Tech Expert, you kind of need that in a modern setting. Treasure Hunter. Vigilante, so you can do what I like about these classes too that he did. It's like the Vigilante here is, you know, he has the Dark Knight. Like you could do Batman with this kind of character. You could do Daredevil or something like that. Very like grounded street hero sort of concept, which I think that's something that we don't see a lot of as far as like modern gaming is concerned. And so I think like what's nice about this book is it's OSE, but he gives you these classes. He's going to give you this equipment, these monsters, and they sort of, to me, they like inspire me to think of like how I would play this character, or how could I use this class to make it more interesting in my game. And I could use the Vigilante as like an antagonist or an ally to my party members. And I think something like this could be interesting even in a medieval setting, like a medieval sort of Batman character. Wheelman, so driver. We got like racial traits, so we have to we have to give special abilities to the various races that are possible within Old School Essentials and Old School Essentials Advanced, and so he gives you those sorts of racial traits here for those classes. And then we get into the weapons, and we got lots of different weapons that we can choose from. We got various melee weapons like knuckle dusters. He's got a list of them here: tomahawks, stun batons, sais, ninja toe, straight razors, throwing knife, bayonet. You want to attach a bayonet to your weapon. All that good stuff. Again, more awesome art from Noland. And he gives explanations for these things. And then we get light firearms. So he has sort of like generic ones. And this is kind of the way I prefer it, because Vic is a gun guy. He owns firearms. I'm a gun guy. I own firearms. And I'm not really interested in just sort of like skinning the same weapon multiple times in order to make it work, or to make it different where it's just sort of flavor description. We can leave that up to the player. So if a player wants to have, like, you know, a pistol, and whether that's a SIG or a Glock, it doesn't matter. It's going to do a D6. You know, it's getting shot by a SIG and getting shot by a Glock that would both suck in those situations. So we don't need to have like this super, you know, trying to simulate the different autistic aspects of certain weapons, you know, of that weapon autism. And trust me, coming from me, who I love guns, and Vic, who love guns, I think this is the way to do it. Personally, that's just my personal take. You can disagree with me on that if you want, but that's just my personal take. We have medium firearms, and again, the same sort of thing. We have lever action rifles, service rifles, hunting rifles, carbines, sporting rifles, big game rifles, submachine guns, sniper rifles, light machine guns, grenade launchers. And then we got the heavy firearms. So he has like the anti-material rifle, so that's like your 50 BMG and whatnot, which is always awesome. Another illustration I did, I was pretty happy with this one. Vic likes this one a lot too. He says it's one of his favorite ones he commissioned, so that's high praise to me, or for me. So we got some heavy firearms. You see we got, again, rocket launchers, missile launchers, all that good stuff. You can go commando, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger if you want, like that that ending scene. Stationary weapons, some more sick art from Noland, and bombs, various bombs, and attachments, firearm attachments. We got bayonets, bipods, tack lights, red dot sights, night vision scopes, suppressors, all that good stuff. Different kinds of ammunition. You want to do non-lethal and have rubber rounds, you can load that into your firearm. Dragon's Breath, which is perfect. I mean, that's a real shotgun type of ammo, but it fits within the fantasy setting idea. And so he's got multipliers for how much that ammunition costs, based on the basic ammo over here. So all good stuff. Smoke, incendiary, stun grenades, all that kind of stuff. Armor, riot shields, ballistic shields. You get all the basic stuff. Combat armor, so like your plate carrier, that kind of stuff. Goblin mode on savings. I like the art. This other artist, I don't remember this other artist's name, but he has a fun style too, and I like this one too. Where this like you're gonna go to the pawn shop or the military surplus store owned by a goblin. It just makes me laugh. So you got like basic equipment too. So you got like your cell phone, canteens, thermal goggles, tracking device, gas mask, flashlights, microphones, drones. I know he gets into drones and demolitions, pharmaceuticals, antibiotics, painkillers. We don't have we have I guess you could have magic potions, but you can also have this stuff too. Let's see. We get into the magic items, and this is where I think it gets kind of cool, in my opinion, and really where I think that what Vic does sort of stands out from like Everyday Heroes and other games like that, and even the stuff that I do that is very like not the word's not serious, but grounded and gritty, more realistic. Vic leans into that like sort of really fun, pulpy sort of vibe as far as like the modern game is concerned. So got Murder Glove, St. Samuel's Judgment, You got magic armor, miscellaneous magic items. We got vehicles. Here's a tank that I drew. That was a fun thing to draw. You can see like my style is more like line art, and no one is really good at that black stuff. And I'm not even really that good at the line art. Like, this is an older piece. I feel like if you guys have been seeing me post my art, I'm really starting to find my stride a bit more, my own voice and style in black and white. I come from a more painterly background and not so much like a comic booky line art style, and so it's been kind of a struggle for me as of late to sort of really find my own sort of voice as far as like black and white pen and ink style art is concerned. So you got lots of different vehicles here. You got from a bicycle all the way to like a battle tank, you know, and even fighter jets and jet skis and stuff like that, water vehicles. So he's got your bases covered so that you can do this kind of stuff, right? Who doesn't want to get into an Apache helicopter or something like that, fight a friggin' dragon? That sounds pretty rad. So we got Technomancy. These are the extra spells. I don't think that you'd be able to have this without extra spells. And so his idea here is sort of like magic applied to tech. And so, I mean, obviously you could still use the same spells that are in your OSE books, but these are just nice little additions. I like the smaller sort of old school style sort of ambiguity of the spells. I think writing for OSE and for old school in general is just more fun in that regard. It makes more creative freedom for the player to sort of apply spells in creative ways rather than hyper-specific sort of TCG style language that we see in a lot of modern editions in their spell writing style, I guess. So yeah, you got lots of different spells up to 6th level, and so lots of cool stuff in here that you can add to your game. Cyber Zombie, Digital Ghost, Living Toolkit, Anti-Tech Shell, so, you know, hide yourself, kind of like Anti-Magic Shell, hide yourself from magic. I like this here. That makes me laugh. Biblical Angels, but it's clippy. So, and then he has psionics too, which is sort of, I think, fits the modern vibe as well. So you have, you know, magic, but you also have psionics. And psionics are something that I think were added in AD&D, and I don't actually, psionics are something in AD&D that I don't fully understand, and I've never used them. It's something I've kind of been meaning to go back into because it's something in my solo gaming and running AD&D and going back into it that I don't personally understand it. But Vic has made a way of using psionics, which is, you know, you have psionic points and you spend those to use these psionic abilities. So they function a little bit different from spells, and he found a cool way of incorporating those. Another piece of art I did. You guys got to get the full color one, which I don't have right now, but the full color one he is given out, or he did on his Kickstarter. I'm not sure if he's going to offer it on DriveThruRPG. Again, maybe he can be in the comments and sort of clarify that. But a lot of this art will be full color that I did, and then he has, I believe it's going to be like the red, a similar sort of red for a lot of this. So you're going to get a little more visual interest with that as well. And then he gives you some NPCs, foes, people that the players can interact with, which is nice. You know, he sort of did the legwork for you in applying and updating some of these foes and monsters to fit a modern setting. Of course, you could do that yourself, and you could still look in the monster section of OSE or what's in BX and apply a sort of modern spin to those yourself. But he sort of did that for you already, which is quite nice. And so you got lots of stuff here for that. Let's see if we can. Robots and constructs, paranormal stuff. He kind of delves into sort of modern, you know, cryptid stuff here, which is fun too. So when the Wendigo, a Rake, a Grey, Reptoids, you know, robots and other drones and constructs, which is cool. More super sick Nolan art. I just see, you can see his style. Like, I would aim to be as good as Nolan is with black and white. He's just so good at it, and I'm not really quite as good. And then you got a section on your specialists and hired help, on, you know, underlings, hirelings, employees, whatever you want to call it, mercenaries that you can hire. I think that's the way D&D was meant to be played, is more of like a troop play sort style of game, and Vic gives you the ability to play in that mode here, which is super nice. And he has some extra rules, damage multipliers. He has this cinematic mode, damage conversion table for that. So like if you don't want to have this, because it's OSE, so if you're not familiar with OSE, it's BX rules, it's old school, it's a little more gritty, it's a little more deadly than maybe you're probably used to with 5e. If you're a 5e person and you're going into playing OSE, you're going to be shocked at how deadly the game can be. You can't just run into battle. But he gives you rules here for like a more cinematic game, which I think you can like that or hate that, but I think that part of Vic's influence is 80s movies, and he'll tell me all the time on the Gilded server, we have like an admin channel. He's an admin on the server, and we'll talk to each other, and he's always watching a movie for inspiration, usually like an 80s action movie, to sort of, get his mind in the zone as to what he wants to, what he's working on. And so I think that the cinematic mode is a good addition, a good touch. Armor damage, bleeding. He has rules for session XP, exploding damage, so injury tables, which is nice. I feel like when you're getting shot, I mean, you could apply something like this to even your regular OSE game. You might not, like, let's say deafened. I don't know. These are things that you could easily apply to that. Some more cool art. I think this is Carlos Castillo. He is also, I mean, if you're in the OSR, you know Carlos's art, and you can his art is like iconic. It's everywhere. And if you have an OSR project, you probably have Carlos's work in it. And then of course we got loot tables. This is old school. You got to have your loot tables, and Vic does not leave you hanging there as well. It gives you some plot hooks that you can do, and here's another image I painted, a Cholo elf. A little Makuhitl Modern Necessities crossover here with the Mictlan god over here, Mictlan Hutl. I can't pronounce his name. Even I can't pronounce the own names in my own books. So you got some plot hooks, and he's got an adventure here for you too. Assault on Blackfang Tower, and he's got some monsters, a town, the tower itself, and the rooms they're in. And here's like a little adventure map that he gives you. I like these isometric style maps. This is kind of fun because you could even lay all this out on the table, cover these things up. You don't even need minis, and you can play the game with your buddies via theater of the mind, you know. So I think this is really cool, and he has two different maps for you, so player map and GM map here. So player maps here, and he has it as a hex map too. Some more cool art, and that's the end of his book. So I just kind of wanted to highlight it. I'm not going to give it a rating because I don't feel like that would be very honest of me, considering he's my friend and I worked on this. But I will say that I think flipping through this thing is pretty cool. And I think if you're an OSE person, like for me, OSE is a game that and BX is a game that I just know super well. And if I'm interested in, it's the kind of game that if I'm interested in running a truly zero prep game, I know that I can do it easily. Zero E has kind of become that as well, but BX is like kind of a good middle ground, especially for new people that are trying to get in the old school. I think that OSE or BX is a good game to do it and still learn the skills and know the rules that will allow them to play other TSR editions. And so for me, Vic's Modern Necessities is a good book that I could totally see using for like one-shots. I'm not so much of a modern guy, but I could see this being a good like palette cleanser one-shot, or like run a couple sessions of this for friends, run it at a party. I feel like I could run it zero prep. I have familiarity with 80s movies too, so I feel like I would be able to run this fairly well zero prep, just given, you know, we live in modern times. It's easy to just sort of imagine, well, what would it be like to do a bank robbery but you know, the party is fantasy creatures and we're robbing a goblin bank or something like that. You know, you could easily do that, or robbing a dwarvish bank or something like that. So yeah, I highly suggest checking it out. Link to this will be in the video description below. If you use that link on DriveThruRPG, you support Vic and me because it's an affiliate link. So check that out. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by joining and becoming a channel member here on YouTube. If you like this kind of content, you can support on my Guilded server, or you can support on Patreon. Links to all that will be in the video description below as well. I want to thank Vic for making this, for giving me a chance to illustrate his book too, and I hope you guys enjoy it if you do pick this up. He's getting really good reviews on it, and if you do pick it up, leave Vic a review on DriveThruRPG. He's looking for reviews on this, so if you could leave a review, get those star ratings up, help him, because that helps on DriveThruRPG get it more seen and visible. And I think Vic is making really cool stuff that needs to get noticed, you know, deserves to get noticed. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share the video if you want more content like this. Again, subscribe, and more to come in the future. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.